Today we're going to be doing another build with an H3 Plus Odroid. We've done a number of builds on these Odroid computers before, so much of this will be very familiar. On the base of the unit we have the space for the sodium memory cards, and I'm going to be fitting a single 16GB card today for memory and a 2TB NVMe M2 SSD. This particular model can take up to 64GB of memory. However, what's different about this particular build is we're going to build it into a specialist case. But before we do that, let's fit the memory and the SSD. First we will fit the SSD. There we go, that's our SSD now fitted. And now we can slot in our memory board. And a simple push and it clicks into position. So that's both the memory board and the SSD in place. I've already fastened the unit to a couple of MakerBeam struts using these standard M3 standoffs. This will allow it to be fitted into its new case. But before we do that, we'll just add the battery for the real-time clock. This plugs in just at this side of the board. And that's it in place. I usually hot glue this to the side of the audio units. We'll do that later. But first, let's have a look at the case we're going to fit this into. And this is the custom case we're going to be using. We're going to call this the Pirate Project. This is a particular custom build to fit our Odroid into this small case. The Odroid fitting in here. This case is going to contain not only the Odroid, but we're going to have a small screen, which we showed in the previous video, and our Bluetooth keyboard on top. So the first thing to consider is how to fasten this unit into the base of the case. The case itself is mainly of wood construction. Now I have no MakerBeam brackets that would be appropriate to fit this to the case. So what I've done is I've manufactured 4 3D printed brackets. These will allow us to bolt into the MakerBeam case on one side and to screw in to the wooden base on the other. So let's first fit these brackets to our MakerBeam struts. So in order to do this, I'm going to be using some custom nuts which can come with MakerBeam. These slide into the grooves in the MakerBeam struts. So we're going to fit these on the inside of the rail. And we're going to be using these small screws, which are normally used to fit corner cubes. On the custom brackets, we have 2 holes, a larger one for the screw and a smaller one for the wood screw. So we just need to put these into position and screw them in place. That's the first one in place. As you can see, the bracket sits flush against the MakerBeam strut and now can be used to screw straight into the wooden base. So we'll now do the same on the other side. That's one side complete, and we'll do the same on the other side. There we have all 4 brackets securely in place. Now this can be mounted into the case itself. Now one of the concerns on this case will obviously be ventilation. There will be a surface at the top of the case which will have ventilation holes, and I intend using 2 fans, one to pull air in and one to suck air out, and the power connector can be routed through to the side of the box. The unit itself will be connected to the screen via a small cable, and the keyboard will be using Bluetooth. We can of course extend the Ethernet or the USB 3 cables to the lid here itself, but we'll look at that in a later video. However, for the moment I'm going to be using these 4 small bronze stainless steel screws to actually connect our Odroid to the case. So there we now have our Odroid securely fastened to the baseboard. That's not going to move. And should we ever need to remove the Odroid, we merely have to disconnect it from the maker beam struts by loosening off these 4 nuts, and it will lift straight out. So here we have our custom case with our Odroid fitted. Our next stage is to work out the positioning of the fans, the positioning of the screen and the lid, and also to connect the power through the case. However, that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.